story. A good friend of mine wanted me to play wingman. Kiara has a twin, Christy. And so Donnie Hookfan said, hey man, I want to talk to the twins. I want you to talk to Key. I want to talk to her sister. It didn't work out for him. They friends, but it didn't work out. So her sister worked in the prison with me for years, had never seen her before. And we communicated on the phone. Actually, it took me 3 weeks to call her after her cousin gave me the phone number. And I finally called her one day and she was like, well, it took you long enough. So that day I promised to take her out to eat. We went out to eat at the local restaurant, which is now one of our favorite restaurants in the rest of the city. I knew about a year before I was going to do it, but like most guys, I'm hesitant. I've never been married before. I do have a child, but I've never been married before. I was like, I don't know, this is the right thing. So who do you consult when you're thinking? Had conversations with my mom. My mom was feeling that she thought she was a nice girl. But I had to make a decision, so what do? You pray about it. And I got convicted maybe about 6 months before I proposed to her. And got the nerve up to buy the ring. That was the hardest part, was actually purchasing the ring. Not because of the cost of the ring, but because I knew I had to get the right ring for the right woman. And so it was maybe about 6 months before I proposed is when I made a decision.
I was working in the ER then. So one morning after I got off of work, I just stayed there and let the doctor see me at the ER. That's right. I told him, I was like, my back's still hurting. He's like, well, while you're there, just let me check you out. So they were asking me a bunch of questions. Of course, they asked me, did I work out and everything? When I told them, yeah, they were like, well, that's probably what happened. They didn't even x-ray me or anything. They just assumed I hurt her doing something. So I'm thinking, well, I really must have hurt my back. I guess it's going to they said it would just get better with time. So another few weeks go by and I was like up all night crying. And he was like, my back still hurting? I was like, yeah. And he was like, no, something not right. So he was like, you need to go get an MRI. So he's pretty much the one that caught it.
So ordered x-rays on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I got the results back the next day and afternoon about 4 o'clock. So between the time I got home and the time I found out, I had talked to maybe 5, 6 people, knew the potential workup what was going to happen. And so when I got home, she said, hey baby, what's going on? Did the x-ray results come back? Pain had already started getting a little bit better, which was odd. And I said, yeah, things don't look just right, baby. We got to do some more tests. And all she said was okay. And at that point, I knew that my convictions about marrying her were right. She had confidence that I was going to take care of her. But inside, I was devastated. So we got the results back, and did the MRI, some tests, and the surgeon thought it was cancer. And
I had a bone marrow biopsy, which was negative, thank God. So it wasn't in my bone marrow, but I had an open biopsy of my spine, and that was the one when they found it's called B-cell lymphoma. And the doctor there, she was even like, I wasn't even expecting this. So she's like, I know it's a shock to you. But she's like, your back was hurting, but she's like, you had no other symptoms of this. She's like, all your blood work, everything is perfect. This is the only thing, we would never even know you had this if your back wouldn't hurt.
She had chemotherapy on a Monday, and so she would do, it's called CHOP therapy. So she has one part of chemotherapy on Monday, the second part on Tuesday, and Wednesday she gets a shot called Blast to help build the white blood cell count up. And so that week she took off, and that following weekend we were going to go pick out cakes for the wedding, invitations. And so we knew the potential for side effects, fatigue, nausea, hair loss, etc., etc. So that Monday I get a text saying, hey babe, my hair is coming out. Now we had a great weekend in New Orleans. We could pick out cakes, pick out wedding invitations, and I said, well, that's expected, but I mean, she had done so well. She tolerated therapy good. She's supposed to be in chemo the first time, 8 hours. She's out full, no side effects, no allergic reactions. So we like, man, this is gonna go smooth. We're gonna get through this and be done. So she texts me and says, the hair's falling out with me. I'm like, all right, well, this is cool. Well, she didn't tell me how much it was falling out. So when I get to the house, she's sleeping. Cool, I'm gonna go eat something. She had cooked like she does all the time. And which is another reason why I was married. She cooked. And I go back in the room and check on her, and she wears a scarf sometimes when she sleeps, and the scarf was falling off, and she was totally bald. And And I went to the bathroom and cried for about 15 minutes.
I know he's not going anywhere, but I just, when something like that happens, it's like, it's real. You realize, how blessed you are to have something like that. And a lot of people wish they had, somebody that, of course, somebody's gonna be there in the good times, but that's pretty much, that's one of the worst things that can happen, to have somebody there, just somebody to talk to, a shoulder to cry on, and somebody that has your back and is fighting with you. That just made it, that much easier. And I really was telling my sister the other day, I really could not have done it without her.
It's my new hero. She's a strong woman. She's a fighter. With like any person, she had days where she wasn't doing so good, but she would still get up, try to go to work, still try to cook for me, still try to keep the house clean. It's just a strong woman. So I guess what I would want people to take from this experience and learn from me, what I learned from this experience and want to share is that I had to transition mentally from being the caregiver, from the physician, someone who delivers bad news on occasion, individuals about cancers, heart disease, whatever it may be, to being a caregiver. And I initially was not prepared for it, but the strength of my fiance made me stronger. So I think it's going to teach us as a couple to lean and rely on each other and appreciate each other more. So we're still growing, we're still learning. I know every day won't be perfect in our relationship, but this experience has brought us closer because there was a point where I thought potentially I could lose him.
Well, one of the first things I've learned from it is, from a physical standpoint, like when you feel like your body is trying to tell you something, you need to listen. Because I knew something was not right, something was wrong. I've never felt like that before. So being a nurse, I have to tell people when you feel something, you need to get it checked out. Because if I would have waited, who knows what would have happened. They caught it from stage 1. From a mental standpoint, I'm still learning and figuring stuff out every day, but I just really learned to cherish my family, friends, especially Ronnie. He really has been strong.
You didn't see me crying all the time.
I know you were, but I'm just saying, I know it was hard for you. I'm very appreciative to have him, and I don't take it for granted. And you live every day like it really can be your last. You never know.
Love beats cancer.